Hello folks, welcome to Netcruzer Tech. Over late 2019, around that holiday period of Christmas to New Year's, I started playing around with a lot of tech stuff, and I was filming a lot of clips as I went along, things like testing out new monitors and technology parts, and I never really did finish a bunch of those videos properly. I have some partial review content I was videoing, so I'm just going to throw those in, but it doesn't really have that same kind of fluidity to a finish line that you might be used to. It's just kind of information about these products. Today I want to talk to you about monitors. Again, I've got another ultra-wide to try. This time a Samsung. So here it is. This is the Samsung ultra-wide quad HD monitor, 21:9 aspect ratio. Its model number is the S34J55W QN, and I did get it on open box discount. So this monitor had been bought once before and then returned by a customer. Now, speculation, who knows why, but I decided I would pick it up because it was on super sale over Christmas. This monitor retails for around $600, but I got it for $280 and then 10% off. So another $28 off. I thought it was pretty good. It is a 3440 by 1400 VA panel. Now, typically I don't like VA panels because they do color shift depending on how you look at them. What's happening here? Black levels and contrast are really good, but it does have VA color shift. So you see how when I move directly in front, all the colors are nice and saturated, but if you turn off axis, all the colors get fairly washed out and muted. Now, I gotta say, this panel is actually performing better than the Acer IPS panel that I tested, so I do really like it. I'm just finding that ultra-wide is a bit of a gimmick where unless you're really going to sit here and take advantage of two windows side by side, I don't think it's worth it unless you've got a lot of ultra-wide games, because when you're sitting in front of it in full widescreen mode, I don't really think it's all that useful for web pages. Most of the time you're going to want to have two windows open side by side. It turns into the equivalent of having two monitors side by side without the bezel in between. I do like using it that way. Now this panel is a native 75Hz 8-bit panel, but you can overclock it. That is one unique thing about this Samsung J55 is that you can overclock it. So you can use an application called CRU, Custom Resolution Utility, and it's very easy to go in here and you can make a 95Hz profile, which is what I've done. And then once you reset your graphics driver, you can go into that setting in Windows that I showed before, where if you haven't seen this before, this is when you go into Display Settings. You scroll down to the bottom of Display Settings, you hit Advanced Display Settings. In here it shows you what your refresh rate is, but you can't change it here. So what you can do is click on Adapter Properties, and then you get this really old interface from Windows. You click on Monitor, and in here you can add your 75Hz. So all you do is you use your Custom Resolution Utility, you add a 75Hz profile, you reset your graphics driver, and the next time you go in here you will have the setting of your Hertz. So now I can run this monitor at 95 Hertz. It is a fully stable panel at 95 Hertz. I've had no downside to running it at 95. If you try and push it to 98 or 100, it does crash. It can't handle that. So 95 is its absolute limit. And it works pretty well at 3440 by 1400 at 95 Hertz. That's decent, although it still doesn't get you that kind of magical smoothness that 144 Hertz does. That's one thing I have noticed, is that once you get 100 Hertz or above, it really becomes a pretty noticeable, smoother experience. Everything just feels faster and more fluid. 95 isn't bad. It is certainly an upgrade over a standard 60 Hertz panel. You can feel the difference here, and it is a useful upgrade to run it at 95 Hertz because VA panels in particular have a fairly slow white to black refresh ratio. So when you run it like this, you are mitigating that a bit. As for physical design of the display, it's pretty good. It's got a matte border all the way around. It does not look all that futuristic because of that border being fairly chunky. It doesn't look like it does not have a kind of infinity edge display. It just looks like a normal monitor, and actually from this type of ratio it doesn't even look that ultra wide, but it is. The stand is particularly terrible though. It has no tilt, no height, no adjustments. It's pretty bad. Let me show you what the back of the unit's like. Here's the back panel on the J55W Samsung Ultrawide. It's this kind of a corrugated style plastic with a heat vent through the top that can also be used as a bit of a handle for moving the monitor around. This is your user interface, which is a joystick style toggle. does have a 100 by 100, I believe, Visa mount option available, but this stand that it comes with is particularly terrible. It's just a little plastic unit. It clicks in. It has no height, no tilt, no anything. It's really, really unfortunate, actually. The whole stand is a little bit wobbly and it's hard to get level because there is no adjustments in the stand at all. Now, here we have I/O, and the I/O is fairly basic for a monitor of this size. Here we have two HDMI ports. I believe one is a 2.0, one is a 1.4. We have a display port, the audio out, and then the power. And the power is this barrel connector, which gives you about a 10-foot cord, and it actually just, that's the power supply for the monitor. And here are the stats on it. Okay, so that Samsung monitor was a bit of an abrupt ending. I ended up returning it because I just decided that I didn't need one that big. That monitor I do have some regrets letting go of. It was a really good value, especially at the $280 to $260 that I paid for it. Now it's up to $550 on sale. It was back up to $650. So here's the monitor. You can get it at Canada Computers, although stock is fairly limited. It seems to be out of stock everywhere. I'm not quite sure why it's not available that much anymore, but anyway, this is the monitor that I had, and you just saw, but I no longer have it. Decided that ultra-wide wasn't really for me, and I decided to go for a high refresh monitor instead. Okay guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're new around here, subscribe. If you want to talk to me, leave a comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching. Remember, you can overclock this to 95 Hz.